See? You see? Well, you don't see it? He moves! Right there! Wait! Right there!
That one little movement of the eyes was all it took for Josh Giddey to signal to Kenneth Williams that he should back cut on Luka Doncic. This was not the initial play call. In fact, during post-game media availability, Giddey said he totally disregarded the play after seeing Luka's back turned and made eye contact and gestured to Kenneth Williams to cut. OKC scores in 1 second on their way to an OT win in Dallas, and the rest is history. Inbounding the ball in a lot of possessions is an extremely formulaic event, but it also can be a game-changing play depending on the circumstances. Many iconic plays in NBA history were directly related or involved an inbounds pass. Bird stealing the ball in 1987 against the Pistons, Russell Westbrook's game winner in Denver that was the cherry on top of his MVP season, Jason Kidd's unbelievable pass over Yao Ming with only 0.4 seconds on the clock versus the Rockets, Derek Fisher's game winner versus the Spurs that also came with 0.4 seconds left, and even more all-time inbounds plays that changed games and series. Inbound passing workouts and drills are not going to be something you see from any Instagram trainers or influencers. It's a micro skill. But when it comes to Josh Giddey, he's so special as an inbounder that it's almost a macro skill and a late game secret weapon. Yaron Weitzman of Fox Sports reported that Josh Giddey had racked up 35 assists on inbound passes. Not a single other player in the league had more than 26. For context, in Giddey's first 2 seasons, he totaled 92 inbound assists, or 0.88 per game. The only players to record more inbound assists in the past 4 years are Chris Paul and Kyle Lowry, and neither did it at the elite rate that Giddey was operating within. After learning this information, I did what any rational and sane person would do and watched all 855 of Giddey's assists from the 2022-23 season and the 23-24 seasons to find tape of all his inbound assists.
It's too fast! How could you even tell what's on?
I can tell.
There are 2 categories of inbound passing situations. First, you have your sideline out of bounds plays, or SLOB for short, and alternatively, you have your baseline out of bounds plays, or BLOB for short. We will start by diving in and examining the sideline out of bounds plays. Giddey is so prolific in these situations that he was inadvertently given the nickname of the SLOB Wizard on Twitter by former Grizzlies Vice President of Basketball Operations, John Hollinger. Not the most endearing nickname. I don't know about a wizard, but some of these passes are straight up magic-like. In these plays, Josh does a great job of quickly recognizing opportunities to hit cutters. Time and time again, he would hit this little backdoor bounce pass for easy buckets. If you look closely, these are all reads on the big closest to the basket. A lot of these dimes are in traffic too. Josh does a great job of understanding angles with his bounce passes to open up more passing windows for himself. These over-the-top passes are really where Josh thrives and where a bulk of his sideline out-of-bounds assists come from. Being 6'8", Josh tends to have the height advantage over whatever defender is guarding him on the inbound, and the times where a big is on him, they usually back up so much that he's basically unguarded and can see the entire floor. Josh has incredible touch on these passes over the top of defenses. None of them have too much heat, and none of them are slow to the point that defenses have time to do something. Adding to that point, one thing that really stood out to me was how consistently he hits cutters right in stride. Josh has great anticipation and does a fantastic job of passing guys open or passing to spots where the defense isn't positioned to help. He's also really good on these sort of cross-court passes where he's strong enough to rifle the ball quickly across the court and still be on the money with the pass. Josh is so quick and decisive on these sideline passes that at times the broadcast cameramen aren't even ready to catch it in time. On to baseline out-of-bounds passes. Similar to his slob bounce passes, Josh has an incredibly unique talent for processing and identifying passing windows in a split second. That window might only be open and available to pass into for half a second, but due to Giddey's almost unlimited passing angle arsenal, it allows him to capitalize on these opportunities often to set up his teammates for points. Anytime a defender has their back to Giddey, he immediately identifies it and usually targets that defender. Similar to the play that I started this video with, many times Josh will disregard the play call if he sees someone open before the play has really even developed yet. Usually, anytime a player at any level completely disregards the call made by the coach, it ends poorly for the player and probably results in that player getting really familiar with the bench for a while. Through 3 seasons, Giddey and Mark Daigneault formed a great working relationship where Mark gave Josh a lot of trust and freedom to make plays when he sees an opportunity. Daigneault mentioned before that the Thunder didn't have a play on the side or under the basket that didn't allow for Josh to pick something off if he sees it. The Thunder brass pretty early on identified Giddey's talent as an inbounder. Mark Daigneault discussed Giddey's inbounding prowess and said, quote, "We realized pretty early because he just started quarterbacking over there. He's pretty surgical in those situations and so tall he can see over defenses," Daigneault said, "and we account for it with everything we do," end quote. I have also compared Josh to a quarterback, and his working relationship with Mark is similar to a QB and a play caller in football. Josh, I know you've mentioned before that you're a big football fan, and you'll see like quarterbacks have discussions with their coaches about different looks they like. Are there anything similar like that between you and Mark? Because I know you guys have had a high rate of success the last couple of years on some of these sideline out of bounds and ATOs.
We've been watching a lot of film before games, and just things both ends of the floor, things he's seeing, things I'm seeing. So it's good to see it from a perspective where you watch it through a film, and you can't always, I always don't see everything during a game. He won't see everything during a game. So when the emotion's out of it, you can sit down and watch film. I think that's when you can get a really good idea of what's happening on the floor, and he's been great in that area, showing me things he sees, and vice versa. So I think film's a really good way to improve both sides of the ball. And he's been great in that area with me.
Like a quarterback, Josh has talked about in these scenarios that he tries to develop the different options for a play in his head, which reminded me of a QB's progression through his receivers. A few years ago, Giddey became a massive Chiefs fan after visiting Kansas City with a Thunder teammate and fell in love with watching Patrick Mahomes. Josh since has spoken about how he's taken some of what he saw Mahomes do on the field and tried to apply it to his own game on the hardwood, saying, quote, "I watch a lot of Mahomes, just the way he kind of puts the ball out in front in space to let his teammates run into." Giddey said, "As a quarterback, you have to make split-second decisions with people coming at you, and it's similar on the basketball floor with defenses constantly moving," end quote. You can see elements of that inspiration in Josh when he's inbounding the ball, where he often has to find different passing angles to be able to make some of these high-level passes you see here.
That looked a little Mahomey.
With Giddey now in Chicago, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how his inbound talents translate to a new team and a new coach. Bulls coach Billy Donovan's history with Mark Daigneault and OKC and back to their days with the Florida Gators should make things easier with them having a lot of similar views on basketball. It will be really fun to see Josh passing to dynamic athletes and cutters like Kobe White and Zach LaVine in these situations, and I can almost all but guarantee we will see Giddey have a big-time assist late in a game for the Bulls on a critical possession off an out-of-bounds play. As for the Thunder, I'm not exactly sure how they can replace what Giddey brought to the table as an inbounder. The Thunder have a lot of good passers, but I wouldn't put them in the same category as a playmaker as Giddey. But for the most part, I think the Thunder will be able to make do without him, even if they don't have the same out-of-bounds assist volume or frequency as before. But I'm curious, what do you think, Thunder fans? Will you miss these highlight passes from Giddey? Do you have a player in mind who could slot in and take that role for OKC as an inbounder? And are you pro or con SLOB Wizard as a nickname? Lastly, thank you so much for tuning in, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribing to my channel, and checking out more of my videos. And until next time, thanks for watching.